Right, let's start your 5-minute business fix with news from Zimbabwe. That country's Mining Development Corporation, a state-owned firm in effect, plans to start metal production next year. Now, the company will partner with a Kazakhstani company, Eurasian Natural Resources Corporation, and a Chinese firm to mine concessions taken from Anglo-American Platinum and Impala Platinum. Now, the venture with the Kazakh company, which is controlled by businessmen from that country and is part-owned by the Kazakh government, is due to start producing platinum in the first quarter of 2014. An exploration report from an alliance with the Chinese company, previously identified as Norinco International Corporation, is also due by year-end. Zimbabwe has the world's largest platinum reserves after South Africa. Speaking of South Africa, craft beer is one of the latest trends in Africa's biggest economy, with beer lovers willing to drive enormous distances from their city-based lifestyles to find it. And they're also willing to pay quite the premium price to quench their thirst. Here's CCTV's Sumitra Naidu with a look at a growing microbrewery industry.
I'm not kidding, that church is about half the size of our bar.
Every weekend, hundreds of city dwellers arrive at Gilroy's brewery. Steve Gilroy himself is very entertaining, but many of the patrons enjoy his beer more. Gilroy's brewery is one of 55 microbrewers in the country. Despite its location, which is about an hour's drive outside of Johannesburg, the place is booked out every weekend. City dwellers make the trip not only to take some time out, but mainly to enjoy Gilroy's craft beer. The brew house handcrafts its own beer that is naturally carbonated and has no preservatives, which means more drinking and less burping.
It has to be pure, and it has to be right, and it has to be clean. We use the best ingredients. We use, we rely on a lot of passion.
The microbrewing industry in South Africa accounts for just 1% of the total beer market, but that number is starting to grow. With the smaller breweries traditionally situated in smaller towns, craft beer is not necessarily available in all liquor stores. So this is what the operations of a microbrewer looks like on the inside. It's pretty small, but Gilroy's makes between 14 and 20,000 litres of beer every month.
We've got 4 types of beer: serious, trade, lager and favorite. The difference is the percentages of the alcohol. Each beer got its own ingredients.
Craft brewmasters enjoy experimenting with different beer flavors, which may mean a lack of consistency in taste. The beer blends also do not store or travel well, which means it can't cater for growing demand outside its supply areas, which means these beer houses will remain marginalized.
Microbreweries in this country are at the moment the flavour of the month. And unless they realise which business they're in, a lot of them are bound to fail.
In recent years, craft beer has become more visible in the fridges of city outlets, but it is still very limited to the bigger brand names. But as demand grows, we could see it occupy more space along the more popular SAB and brand house offerings. Sumitra Naidu, CCTV, Johannesburg.
Fascinating story about a niche market there. Let's move on to a couple of markets, however, that are definitely not niche. Let's start in Nigeria. The all-share index in West Africa's biggest economy is up by just about 0.3. However, the rest of the numbers you're about to see are all in the red. The all-share index in South Africa down 0.64. The 20-share index in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, down by about 1/10. And the Egyptian market relatively flat so far in trading. However, keep an eye on South Africa. The rand is taking a beating in early morning trade. We'll see what happens, especially when the medium-term budget policy statement comes out later today. On to the sport now with Beatrice.